Here. Hi, Susan Elias here. Today I'm going to answer a question from one of my viewers, subscriber. Her name is Kita. She's asking me to give her a tutorial on how to move the shoulder dart on a back sloper to the waistline. Well, Kita, the reason why you don't see that in books or probably in other videos is because it's really not done. And it's really not too much talked about, actually. I'm going to show you the sloper first. Here's the sloper, as you can see here. This is the back sloper. I showed you in my other video the front sloper and how to move the dart going around the bust. But this dart here on the top of the shoulder, she wants to move that to here. And the reason why that's really difficult or kind of frowned upon is because if you move this dart all the way to here, this becomes a big dart. And if it becomes a very large dart, what's going to happen is going to give you a very pointy back, which will give you what's called back bust. And we don't want that. Typically with this dart, what they're going to show you in basic fashion design is moving this dart either to the neckline or to the armhole. But I'm going to show you a trick on how to eliminate this dart completely and keeping this dart intact, and so everything will be just fine. And stay tuned. Here we go. Okay, before I show you this on the flat, I want to show you the back sloper on my mannequin. This is a size 6, not an 8, and these are standard size 8, so it's going to be a little bit bigger. But if I put this along the back side of this mannequin, as you can see, it's going to mold to it. And you can also see on this mannequin that the highest point on the back is pretty much here mid-shoulder. Therefore, we really don't want any kind of pointy, large dart going on right here. Let me show you what it's like on the flat now. Here I'm now at the table. The supplies you're going to need is I have the cork board here underneath, my pattern making paper, my sloper, a straight ruler, French curve, paper scissors, long prong tracing wheel, markers, pencil, push pins, eraser, and the tape measure that's always around my neck. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I'm here with the pattern and the paper. It's all tacked down. The first thing I want to do is put a straight line for the center back line. I'm going to take any of these vertical markings and I'm going to go ahead and draw in a straight line. Okay, I'm going to put the center back to that line. Make sure you can see the bottom and the top. Here we go. I'm going to tack it down at the tip of the shoulder dart, the tip of the waist dart, and another one just to hold it down. The first thing I want to do is we're going to close this dart. So going towards the center back, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to start from that one dart and trace around the pattern, the sloper, trace around the sloper all the way. This has already been traced. I have the waistline here. I'm putting in the waistline dart. I'm going and doing the side seam as well. Okay, after I've done that, I'm going to take out my push pins and I'm going to first show you how large this dart is. This dart is a little bit more than 1/2 of an inch. It's almost 3/4 actually. Now I'm going to measure the shoulder seam without that dart. The shoulder line, excuse me, without that dart. I'm going to measure on this side, carry it over, and I have 5 1/4 for the shoulder line without the dart. So what I'm going to do now is keep it securely on the bottom part of this waist dart. I'm going to use my green marker. And from there, I'm going to pivot this one closed like that. I still have this on my waistline like I need to properly. And this is lower. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and mark out from the other side of that dart to the tip of the shoulder like that and give you a nice green marking with that for the armhole. It's a little different here as well. Okay. Now, I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to correct this line here and give you the proper length as well. With my straight ruler, I'm going to draw from this point to this point and correct it and give myself a nice straight line like that. I'm going to measure it and make sure it's 5 1/4. And it is. Okay, now I'm going to have to correct this armhole. We want to make sure that this width is not disturbed. So I'm going to put this back, the sloper back onto the pattern, and make sure that I have the proper width, which is right here, and length, which is right here. Oops, let's get that exactly. So we've got it like right here is that corner, like that. Then I'm going to pivot this to where that shoulder point is, like that. I'm going to raise it slightly, like that, get in between the two. And I'm going to now draw in the new armhole in red, putting the notches for the back armhole and correcting that side seam like that. Now this is the new shoulder line without the dart. The dart has been removed. Here's your new armhole. Here's your side seam. Let's go ahead and put some seam allowance onto this sloper right now to make it a pattern. The first thing I'm going to want to do is put a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the side seam. So I'm going to make a parallel line from that pencil line 1/2 inch out. I'm going to go 1/2 inch also around the armhole like this. Make little parallel markings following around the shape of the armhole like that. And I'm going to follow the red line again, not the green line. And then I'm going to give myself a 1/2 inch here at the shoulder. Let's get that right. And then I'm going to give it a 1/4 inch at the neckline. So just make little 1/4 inch markings. That's your seam allowance for necklines, usually. Like that. This is the center back. Just want to make sure you see that. I'm going to give a 1/2 inch at the center back. I'm going to go this way, like that. And draw in my 1/2 inch seam allowance on the center back. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the waistline, a little half moon where that dart is, so it needs to be trued. Here along the waistline as well. I give you the legs of this new dart. From the point, the dart point, to this one dart leg, and then I'm going to put the dart point to this leg. So now we have the 2 dart legs. This dart has not increased in any way, and it's in the right location. I'm going to take the push pins out, and I'm going to cut this pattern all around on what's considered the cutting line, and I'll come right back. I'm back. I want to true this waist dart. I want to show you how that's done. We're going to fold back the line or the dart leg closest to the center back first. So I'm going to turn this pattern down to the back. I'm going to fold back that line closest to the center back. Then I'm going to shift it over to the other side to true it. So, okay, now I want to get my long prong tracing wheel. I'm going to trace along the actual seam line. I'm going to open it up, and now I have a good indication of the end of that dart and where I can put my seam allowance. I'm going to give myself a 1/2 inch seam allowance on that side of the dart, on this side of the dart, and I'm going to finish it off that way. And if you have markings and they're not quite close enough, you can always use rulers to give yourself a better indication, like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut along the cutting line, like this. Okay, and there you have it, the new pattern. At this point, I have eliminated the shoulder dart completely, reworked the armhole, kept the waist dart intact, made sure I had enough width here that this has not been disturbed in any way, and there is your new back pattern, not sloper, that eliminates the shoulder dart. Here is your sloper, and we're done. Here I am with the pattern on the dress form, just so you can see what it looks like. I have the center back here pinned, as you can see. The waist dart is pinned. It's fitting nicely on the side seam, the armhole, and look, no more shoulder dart. Nothing on the neck, shoulder, or armhole. It fits nice, and we have a nice curvature on the back that fits the back nicely. So that's how you do that. A little bit of a trick by moving the shoulder dart outside the tip of the armhole and reworking the armhole. Here is your sloper. Here is your finished pattern. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like the page if you like it, share it, and comment, because you know I'm going to answer it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.